Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. So this is actually something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while now, a few days, but I couldn't find the information that I wanted. I knew I had seen it somewhere, but I couldn't find out where it was. Anyway, I have now found it, courtesy of the Disability News Network, and I'm going to read it to you. It's regarding something which a lot of people have commented on my channel. Regarding the transition from legacy benefits to universal credit. There are, even though the government says there's this transitional protection in place, it doesn't protect you against everything, and there are often hidden costs involved once you transfer. So I'm going to be talking about them, and also about another organisation which is trying to perhaps do something about it. So let's have a look at the article and I'll show you what I mean. Disabled claimants losing out by hundreds of pounds a month through hidden impact of universal credit. Disabled people have suddenly become up to £200 a month worse off because of unexpected impacts of being moved from their old legacy benefits onto universal credit. It can actually be more than that. I know some people who are out of pocket more than £200. Disabled People Against Cuts, DPAC, has been hearing from disabled people who have been hit hard in two different ways by the migration process, neither of which appear to have been predicted by the Department for Work and Pensions. The impact has come despite disabled people being told that they would, at least initially, be no worse off on universal credit than their previous benefits. The problems impact on support provided to disabled people by their local councils. DPAC is now considering whether a legal action might be possible, and it is now looking for disabled people who are eligible for legal aid and might be willing to take a legal challenge with DPAC support. DPAC has been hearing of two ways in which the migration process has hit disabled people in unexpected ways. In the first, disabled people who are already forced to pay care charges to their local council have seen these charges increase from migrating from employment and support allowance onto universal credit, in some cases by more than £50 a week. The council often only becomes aware the claimant has moved onto universal credit months after the migration, which leaves the disabled person with large arrears of care charges to pay. DPAC believes these increased charges could be because certain disability-related premiums awarded under ESA and previously disregarded by councils when calculating care charges no longer apply under the universal credit system. A second group of people, apparently some of those who do not receive council-funded social care, are receiving a lower discount under their local council tax reduction scheme after migrating onto universal credit. DPAC says universal credit payments seem to be treated differently than legacy benefits, and that some disabled people are now paying 40% of their council tax bills when previously they would pay nothing, with some now paying as much as £200 a month more. This week, DWP refused to say if it was aware of these two concerns, if it was concerned, and whether it would take any action. It has also declined to provide an update on how many ESA claims are still waiting to be migrated onto universal credit. But it said in a briefing note that councils are responsible for assessing how much a person can be charged for care, while the Care Act of 2014 requires that care charges are affordable, clear and transparent. And it said that local authorities are responsible for designating council tax reduction schemes to support low-income households, and that councils have discretion to apply different rules for treating benefits such as universal credit relative to previous legacy benefits. PAC also pointed this week to the impact of rent increases on disabled people who have moved onto universal credit. DWP have previously warned about this impact. When rent increases, the housing element of universal credit also increases, but the total universal credit a migrated claimant is paid can stay the same, which means they are left with less to live on. This is because the transitional protection paid to many of those moved over to universal credit by the DWP through the managed migration process, which assures a claimant is initially no worse off when they move across to the new benefit, is eaten away over time by inflation and often by other changes in circumstances. DWP said the transitional protection was designed to be temporary, gradually reducing over time, so all universal credit claimants in similar situations are treated equally, regardless of whether they move from old benefits or applied as a new claimant. A DWP spokesman said in a statement, "We support millions of people through universal credit every year, including those who have moved from ESA, and it's a top priority for us to ensure that people receive the help they are entitled to." Now, as always, I will leave a link to that article down in the description below so you can read through the whole thing yourself, because it is a long article. But essentially, this is what a lot of people have been telling me in the comment section, that the transitional protection might protect them in terms of the money they get from the DWP, but there are additional costs which they have to face which they didn't have to face before. Usually, in most cases, that is the council tax. The reduction they get differs on universal credit to what it would have done on legacy benefits. But there are also other things, most in particular care charges are also something which is very difficult to get your head around sometimes in terms of how they calculate it. So I'm going to leave a link to that article down in the comment section. I'm also going to leave a link to DPAC, where they are asking people if they can help. So it's worth contacting them just to see if you're in this situation, if you are able to help them, if you want to. It's not, you don't have to, of course, but if you feel you want to, then of course you can go down there and check them out as well. The problem is, again, a lot of the time it's down to communication, and that is why I've always said, even though when you migrate over to universal credit everyone should be told, I would always tell the council as well. The same time you're transferring over to universal credit, I would also contact your council and tell them you're transferring over to universal credit. I would also contact your landlord if it's not the council. If you're renting through a housing association or something like that, I would also tell them at the same time. Even though they should be aware, it's always a good idea to get them informed as well. So because obviously the sooner you can get them informed, then the less chance there is of any arrears totaling up because you haven't paid a certain amount or whatever it might be. So that's just my advice anyway. Let me know down in the comment section if you've been through this yourselves. I know a few of you have, and also let me know what you think about this possible legal action. Hopefully it will work, and some people might be able to get some help from it. Anyway, let me know down in the comment section what you think. Please do subscribe if you've got this far, and I'll see you next time.